on the road. Every step, every stroke, every pedal stroke counts. Here, the heart is at stake. Ordinary is not enough. It's time to show the world that limits and fear are just a mirage. Because with every stride you inspire someone. With every fall you teach someone to get up. And with every goal crossed, a story is told, a story that can be yours. Because the pursuit of more challenges what you believe possible. When you feel like you can't go on, remember, you never know who you might inspire.
You are an Iron Man.
I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah, man, we coming for them bags. If they said I couldn't have, get the team. I got a vision for the things you ain't believe. And here's the motto, hard work, this over everything. It's that comeback. I'm calling plays, hit the pass, then the run back. I'm far ahead and gotta run last. But we ain't letting up, we never done that. Ain't nowhere to hide. You ain't gotta see me come and keep me on your mind. 'Cause I be on the way.
Nothing is impossible. You were there, you did it. You were there, you did it. You told your story. Every tear, every smile, every scream was worth it.
Šta ostaje nakon ovakvog videa? Što reći? Za početak, poštovani gosti, dragi prijatelji Plava Laguna Ironman 70.3, Dear Athletes, welcome, dobrodošli. Dobrodošli na Sport Talks, na panel Beyond the Finish Line, ove godine nazvan The Athlete's Inner Game, ili jednostavnije, bavit ćemo se psihom sportaša. Kako se mentalno i fizički pripremiti za velike sportske izazove, te kako upravljati energijom, emocijama i regeneracijom. Sve će to biti u našem današnjem fokusu. Doduše, s obzirom na naše današnje goste, panel bi se baš lako mogao nazvati i inspiracije. Naime, s nama su danas Luka Milanović, kondicijski trener, sudjelovao u pripremama kao član Croc Cup tima Mirka Filipovića, košarkaških klubova, košarkaških reprezentacija, rukometne reprezentacije, no dobro, možda ga ipak svi najbolje poznajete kao člana stručnog stožera i kondicijskog trenera Hrvatske nogometne reprezentacije. Luka, dobrodošao. S nama je i freediver Vitomir Maričić, atlet, coach, leader, explorer, volunteer. Sve to stoji uz ime Vitomira Maričića, koji je, dodajmo, prije 4 mjeseca postavio Guinnessov svjetski rekord u statičkom zadržavanju daha. Ostao je pod vodom 29 minuta i 3 sekunde. Veliki pljesak, molim. A sad naš najtrofejniji sportaš, hrvatski paraolimpijac, naš Mihovil Španja, višestruki nositelj zlatnih, srebrnih i brončanih odličja s brojnih natjecanja te vlasnih nekoliko svjetskih i europskih rekorda. Veliki pljesak za Mihovila. Dobrodošao. Zadnji, ali ništa manje važan, dolazi nam iz susjedne Slovenije. S nama je Luka Kovačić, slovenski brdski trkač, osvojio je brojne Red Bull 400 utrke i proslavio se usponom na najviši vrh Slovenije za samo 30 minuta. Dečki, hvala što ste večeras s nama, ali to nisu svi dečki. Imamo još jednog. And for the first time, I'm really happy to welcome and introduce our dear guest, Gordon Graham, who has come all the way from South Africa. Gordon is a 5-time finisher, Ironman 70.3, and 2 times full Ironman finisher and official Ironman announcer. I'd say Gordon's already part of the local crew because he has been in Porridge already, so it's only fitting that he gets the honor of warming us up and maybe his vocal cords also, just before the Sunday race. So Gordon, the guys and the stage are yours. Have fun and we'll be watching.
Hvala, Petra, thank you so much, and I'm so glad you mentioned the fact that I have in fact finished an Ironman race. I know when you look at me you think, did he really finish one? But I promise you I've done 3 fulls, and it was hard work. I'm the one at the back of the race that everybody waits for to finish, you know. Everyone else has gone home and then they look at me and they're like, could you hurry up, please? Ladies and gentlemen, on stage we have 4 of the best when it comes to endurance sport and going beyond the finish line. And I wanted to just start the conversation by saying we've called this Beyond the Finish Line. In my experience, when you signed up to do an Ironman 70.3, it wasn't 2 weeks ago, it wasn't last week, it was probably 6 months ago, I hope. Some of you, if you did do it 2 weeks ago, you're in trouble. But it was probably a long time ago. So you've had a long time preparing your mind to get yourself ready for the race this weekend. Who in the room is doing their very first Ironman race? Anybody here doing their first Ironman race? So yeah, a round of applause. Fantastic. So what race director Goran and Sven and the team here at the Plava Laguna Ironman 70.3 Porridge, Croatia wanted to do is they wanted to give you the opportunity to be in the room with 3 or 4 men and me that know what it's like to push yourself beyond your limits. So I think I'm going to start right next to me, next to this man here. So Luca is a UTMB mountain runner, Red Bull athlete, takes on some of the most amazing terrain. I recently went to my first UTMB event, and it is insane what you guys do. 100 kilometers running through the mountains and the like. You're one of Slovenia's top runners. You've been a Red Bull athlete. You've also done vertical races like Red Bull 400, and you made yourself a name in the ultra trail world. When you decided to take this sport on, what was it about ultra distance that got your attention?
Hello everybody, first from my side also. I mean, I don't know, I'm in love with the mountains, so for me the guiding point was the mountains, so all the path that is crossing the mountains, and then I found the sport that is happening in the mountains. So it was the combination. I came from this side, and yeah, of course it's when you look up and then you see I have to go there, and then it's this sparkle in your eyes when you see, oof, this could be cool to connect, and then it's 10 kilometers, 20, 30, 40, and then more and more, and it's a challenge. How much can you do in one day?
So you weren't entertained by the idea of doing a 5K run and that was it. You wanted to go further and higher and push yourself.
Yeah, of course, because for the first time you think there is the limit. I mean, can I do the 10K? And then it's a big challenge, and then you do the 10K, then you figure out maybe this is not my limit because I can do more, I'm still alive. And then the next time you go for 20K and you're still alive. So actually there is no limits. And this is proven by the records, because also in Ironman we see every year the record is broken. Some years ago the people were thinking that the full Ironman cannot be done under 8 hours. Now it's how much? 7 hours 30. And it's the same with running, the same with every sport, with swimming, with freediving, and with everything. The records are made to be broken, and also our limits the human is not limited. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. When I first started announcing at Ironman races, your top professional men were racing around about that 8-hour mark, and the women were racing around 9 hours. Now the women are starting to get close to breaking 8 hours, and the men are breaking 7:30, 7:40 regularly. What do you think the change is? How did that happen? How did they go from 10 years ago, 8 hours the limit, to where they are now?
I mean, from my point of view, of course, there is a technology with the running shoes, with the bikes and everything, but also mental. I think the mental aspect is huge. Because imagine also in the marathon sport, when the record holder breaks, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 minutes, the next year, everybody is running 2 hours, 3 minutes. Because it's in the mind, it's possible. And also in my world, when UTMB, it's possible to do it in 19 hours. Some years ago, nobody was running under 20.
Yeah.
And now everybody is going 19.
Which is amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing. I like that you said it's not just the physical training that has changed, but also the mental training. I want to throw it over to Luca on the far side. Luca is possibly involved with my favorite football team ever. I am a massive supporter. I come from South Africa, but I always support the Croatian team when it comes to the World Cup football. And you've worked very closely with that team from a conditioning and a preparation point of view. It's a lot different when you're working with one athlete. When you're working with a group of players like that, what is the one thing they all need in common to get that mental and physical preparation done, Luca?
Thank you for the question. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's obviously different. Football is different than all of these sports. Actually, every sport that we are involved in is really, really different and different needs. If you talk about inner game and mentality, what I see from the best players in the world that I work with, best athletes, they're all pretty much the same. The one characteristic, the one quality that they all have on extremely top level is competitiveness. We heard Luca now. It's a challenge for him. He wants to beat himself, of course, and going back to your question, it's different if you're alone than with the team. But I'm sure that all of you, it's individual sport, but I'm sure you have a team. You have a team that you train with, you have maybe people you work with, so team environment, and we as human beings, we like the team. We grew up and we evolved through the tribes or whatever, so being in a tribe and being competitive is something that's survival, not only sports. Because our body doesn't know that it's just sports. Our body only wants to stay alive, actually. As Luca said, I lived. His body lived. And that's why everybody breaks it the next year, because they realize it's possible, and then the body let's go, you know. So being competitive, I think, is the crucial characteristic. But at the same time, in the team sports, it's really different. And in the team sports, we need to turn down the ego. Because if you have 25 people in one place with all egos, big egos, which is good because it makes you competitive, it makes you ambitious. But you need to know when to turn it up and when to turn it down. I think that's the biggest difference between individual sports and team sports, but they are all extremely competitive, and I think that's the main reason for success.
So none of them walk onto the pitch thinking they're going to lose. They walk onto the pitch thinking they're going to win.
They want to win in a card game, let alone the football game. So it's all about winning. It's all about the feeling of winning. Luka Modric is 40 years old. He still loves to win in anything he does. We have training session, the 36-year-old athlete, player, after ACL injury. We have a training session really intense, but it finished a draw. He's like, no, we gotta play more. But we can't play more, tomorrow is the game. No, let's shoot penalties. He doesn't want to leave the session without winning. And I think that's really, really important.
So perhaps we could take that theory from the football environment about being competitive and wanting to win and translate that to an Ironman 70.3 athlete to succeeding. So when you start the race on Sunday, Luca, you need to start with that mindset of I am going to succeed as your first thought, right?
Of course, and trust the plan. Everybody has a plan. Somebody has maybe even plan B. The boxers say everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. But you need a plan A, plan B, and whatever it is, you have to trust it. Believe, in the system, believe what is planned, and that's the only way to go. If you start questioning, you're going down, definitely, in any sport.
Doubt is your biggest enemy, I agree.
Definitely.
So we've had two really good points already. We've had challenge your limits. So you thought 10K was your limit, now it's 20, now it's 30. And we've had going onto the pitch or starting the race with that attitude of, I'm here to succeed. I didn't come here to fail. I came here to succeed. And someone that knows about success is someone who's won multiple European world titles, Paralympic medals, one of Croatia's most decorated Paralympic swimmers. I call him Iron Mike, but it's Mihovil Svanja. Firstly, great to have you here. You've competed at the highest level. This is a Paralympic medalist. Can you give this man a round of applause? Absolutely amazing what you do. At Ironman, so you've already proven that there are no limits, if you ask me. But at Ironman, we have a saying that is, anything is possible. How would you apply that to your career and how you've overcome to reach the level of success that you've reached?
Yeah, regarding my nickname, Iron Mike, it's not about my strength. It's about my leg. Yeah. So a little bit of black humor. So first of all, thank you all for coming, and I'm so glad and honored to be here. I met many guys which I didn't see for 15 years. One of them is my friend, director of the Ironman Croatia, one and only Goran Vrus. Big applause for this man. I see some other guys like Bruno. So regarding your question, I think everything in life is about attitude. Everything is attitude. So I see Ironman like it's Iron Life. You see, you have swimming, you have running, you have also cycling. Some of these sports are maybe familiar for you. For me, swimming. So it's life. Some of the things are not some things which you are so good in, but you need to go. You know, so for me, swimming is life. I have 41 years, and I started to swim when I was 1 year and a half by myself, because I had a polio when I was 7 after the vaccine. So everything for me is connected with swimming. Regarding the training in this 15 years of professional career, I swam over, I think, 33,000 kilometers. 33,000 kilometers on trainings.
Wow.
So I hadn't been good motivated in these 15 years. Because of that, you have a team. You're not alone. Even I was in an individual sport, in the swimming. I hadn't been so good if I didn't have my family, my parents, first of all my parents, then my trainer and my friends, because no one could win these kind of medals
on your own,
by himself.
Yeah.
You know? So and you need to know that you need to wait for the success. Michael Jordan signed for Chicago Bulls 1984, and first ring he won 1991. So they had waited 7 years for him to win a medal. Everything else is history. So you need to wait for success. And also the failure is just one step forward, not step ahead. No, step forward to success. Because if you fail here, you need to go up, and every step, every fail is just moving forward and to be better, not just as an athlete, as a person, and also as a parent. I'm a parent of nearly 4 years old son, so you catch my point, yeah.
So Paralympian and a dad with a 4-year-old, that is quite... I like what you said there, failing forward. Most people are afraid of failure. They think failure is the end, but you can turn failure into a lesson to learn more and be better.
Yeah, but the fear is also natural feeling, fear. I was also full of fear before my Paralympic medals. The fear is, but the best of the best know how to deal with fear, you know. The mental preparation is, on some cases, even more important than physical. Because if you are aware of yourself, if you are hard training, for me, the hard trainings were always worse than world or Paralympic Games. But if you know how to deal with training, you will know how to deal the best. Yeah.
I like that. They say training is like investing. So when you train, you're putting all of those hours into a bank, and then on race day or on event day, you withdraw from that bank. You were talking about fear. My biggest fear when I first started swim training for my first Ironman race, the swimming coach said to me, okay, 25-meter pool, I want you to swim underwater one length, under the water, holding your breath for 25 meters. I'm going there. That's where I'm going. And it was the scariest thing. And I remember the first time I tried it, I popped up just after the flags. The second time I got a bit further. And the first time I finished a full 25 meters underwater, holding my breath, I thought I'm ready to take on the world. And I want to introduce you to a man who I believe has held his breath for close to 29 minutes, possibly over that. Vitomir, when they said you were coming on stage, they said that you were going to come on stage without a shirt on. I'm so glad you are wearing your shirt. Ladies, we forced him to wear a shirt because there are more ab muscles there than we can deal with. But Vitomir is a Guinness World Record holding freediver, adventurer, as well as a coach. What is your record in freediving? Let's just set the record straight. What is your record time freediving and depth?
Hi, hello. Thanks for having me here. My records are in static breath hold 10 minutes 08, in distance 300 meters, and in depth 125 meters.
That is absolutely insane. But you didn't just... You had to work to get to that. Can you rewind in your career to show us how you developed that skill? Because I believe in freediving, you've literally got to learn how to calm your breathing, calm your heart rate, slow the heart down. What was the steps that you took in order to develop that world record skill?
Well, I think every sport has a sport-specific thing that makes it special, and that's why we all love sports, because they're all so different. And I really believe that at an elite level, or at a very extreme level, like for example an Ironman race or elite swimming or ultra trail running, I've tried both, and I tried triathlon as well. So like I'm a big fan of sports. I just love every sport, and I had to try every sport myself. I think at a top level, all sports need a combination of many factors. It's the motivation, it's the stamina, it's the endurance, it's the power, and it's the mental game. And by doing things myself and by coaching others, I've realized that this is always true. And an athlete is always going to be a combination of everything. You cannot win with just something and then the other thing is horrible. It's not. And I think the same thing is necessary to finish a race like this. I also believe that sport is, for me at least, it was a very educational and therapeutical tool. I tried to somehow transfer this to my athletes. We've touched topics like winning, going there to win. And I mean, of course, obviously, you're not going somewhere so that you can be happy losing. No one does that. But I really try to convey to the athletes to be ready to lose and to be ready to fail. Because these are our maybe primordial fears of not being successful or failing, and everything comes down to that. And then we find little excuses in, maybe in triathlon, oh, I don't have a really good bike, or I didn't check my bike, or my swimming is this, my shoulder is hurting. It doesn't really matter. In freediving, people have like a ton of excuses for every race, for every event. And for me, that's not relevant. I always try to tell them, yeah, but your job as an athlete, whatever your sport is, or football or running or swimming, is on that day to have the mental capacity to deliver the best of you. And that's your job. And of course, not every day is going to be potentially the best. Yeah, sometimes you have a bad shoulder, sometimes a bad stomach. But if you decided to go, you are there to deliver the best of you. And for me personally, if I can do that, that makes me happy and satisfied. Sometimes I win a world championship with that performance. Sometimes I even win a world championship without making my best performance, because it just happens like that in sport. But as long as I'm doing my best performances, this gives me a deep sense of satisfaction. And I think when athletes focus on giving the best of them and being ready to put that as the main goal and accept that maybe the other goal, which is context dependent, because you don't know how good someone else is going to be in the race. So failing to win is something absolutely acceptable and something necessary to make you better. And when we remove that fear of failure, we also remove the pressure of competing. And then you get the playfulness and the joy that I think is one of the main characteristic traits of the very elite athletes. They don't think about failing, so they can focus on winning. And for me, that's also something you can apply everywhere in life.
Wow.
That's why I think sport is really educational, and for me personally, it helped me develop myself and heal in so many ways where I couldn't even think that it will go. Just by these discussions with myself and thinking about why am I doing it, for who am I doing it, and what's my result that I want to invest in. And I really hope that everyone is going to find themselves through these races, because these races are hours and hours and hours long, and you will have time to reflect on all these things. So yeah, I wish you luck, and I wish you good health on the race.
No, I like what you said there, the playfulness. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't heard that before. And Vitame, I've never heard anyone talk about the playfulness of competitive sport. And I think you've touched on something really, really important there. And perhaps, Luca, I can throw it back to you. When you have a group of 20 footballers in a squad playing at a World Cup, and they're about to go into a quarterfinal or a semi-final, do they focus on being playful and just enjoying the moment? Or is it all just, I mustn't make a mistake? Because what I'm getting from you is we get so worried about the failing that we forget to think about the succeeding. So if I could throw it to you, when you are working with a group of footballers, how much of that pre-preparation gets them into the mindset where I'm going to go out there and enjoy myself? Or is that unheard of in football?
No, it's definitely heard of. And playfulness is really, really big part of everything that they do. It's not always vocalized. Most of the times it's in the back of their heads, but it's important to be there. Sometimes even coaches say, okay, you can enjoy this game, let's be playful.
That's where the creativity comes out, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be said. All of us are trying to create the environment for them to live in a way, to train in a way, to recover in a way that is going to actually produce the result of playfulness and bringing their best game on the pitch. So that's done, in many different ways, not directly always, but it's done. So playfulness is definitely important. We talked about fear of failure and accepting that, but it's also important how they deal with success. Especially in a tournament environment, and not only that, but all the time. So not only how to deal with failure, but how to deal with success, because either extremely positive or extremely negative emotions are not going to let you perform today. Because in sports, of course, there's no yesterday, there's no tomorrow, there's just today. So I think it's important to keep in mind that success is also dangerous sometimes.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, because at center court at Wimbledon, there's a sign above the door as the players walk in, and I'm not entirely sure the exact quote, but it talks about if you can approach success and failure like the imposters that they are, so in that mindset, let's talk about that then, Luca. Let's go back to success, how do you handle it? Failure, how do you handle it?
Yeah, that's not me.
That's how you do it.
I mean, first of all, you also have to dare to succeed. I am able to win. That's also the other point, because many people are focusing only before the race. Maybe this can go wrong, this can go wrong, this can go wrong, but maybe you will have the day of your life.
Yeah.
Maybe you will swim the pace of your life. And at this point, you should not be afraid, this was too fast. Maybe this is the day of your life, and maybe today you will win. And also this is the point when you should not be afraid, because in the race, it's the success. But of course, there also comes the failure. And in my career, I learned the most out of the failure, because when you succeed, obviously you do everything right and everything went perfect. But when you fail, then sometimes some things didn't end.
Is that true though? I want to throw this to the rest of the guys. When you succeeded, did you do everything perfectly? And when you failed, did you do everything wrong?
Probably on this day you were the best. Maybe you didn't do everything perfectly, but on that day,
in that group of circumstances,
in these circumstances, you take the best out of the circumstances. So your plan, for example, you run and you make the best decisions on your given day. So when you run,
I like that. I want to throw it back to you. Think about your worst performance at an event, and then think about the day that you broke the record. Can you identify the differences, both in yourself and the environment, on those 2 days? The day where things didn't go right, and the day when things went so right that you broke a record. And I'm going to bring it back to you, Iron Mike, in a second.
Wow, my memory is not the best. I'm very hypoxic on my trip.
breathe, Vitamir, breathe.
I guess I would need to travel back to some other sports as well. The first thing coming to my mind is my national championships in weightlifting, because there it's super easy, and the difference between success and failure is like a split second. The lift is either up or it's not. And yet there were tournaments where the lift just didn't work. I analyze them and I think of how to make them better, and there were tournaments where I felt like I'm godlike. This is insane. Like I don't even feel the weight on me. I think a lot of the difference was in my mental approach, and as I was progressing in my career, I got much better at preparing a good mental ground for that type of sport. And then the percentage of my successful lifts was more and more and higher. I was always physically ready for what I was attempting. I was never overshooting. So I would say in that specific sport, it was definitely how I approached it mentally. And in that sport, I started realizing how important for me is to be playful, to consider it as something that's a learning experience, and to be also happy to learn from defeats, but to be ready to win. In sport climbing, sometimes we would say, when you prepare for a route, I don't know, sometimes years, and then you come to give it a shot and you see the weather window is just one, and it builds pressure, even though you're competing against no one, just yourself, but it builds pressure. So sometimes we would say, this route is so important that today we won't give it much attention, because like giving it also too much attention, it starts building pressure, and that's sometimes the killer of athletic performance. For me, it was always a motivator, and all my best results were always in competition. Maybe because of my lazy nature, like if I have to do it, I'll do it, and in training sometimes it's not easy to do it. But so I believe a balance, like a little bit of pressure is always good to put the edge on. But yeah, definitely having it too much doesn't work. In the end, it's a game, it's an exploration, and it's a long journey. Even in the fastest sports, it's a long journey, and it should be a lifetime journey.
Yeah, there's a famous golfer from my country called Gary Player, who had a saying that said, the more I practice, the luckier I get. And I kind of like that because basically what he's saying is I do all the hard work in training so that I can have fun on the race day. And Iron Mike, if I can throw it back to you, on the day that you won your first Paralympic medal, what was going through your head? Did you feel like Vitamir did, where you'd done all the preparation, you were there, you could be playful, you could enjoy yourself? Was there a lot of pressure, or did you? Because I've spoken to Olympic athletes before who've won medals, and they say the funniest thing is on the day that they won their medals, they were just calm. There was this unnatural peace that they just went out there and going, I'm going to give it my best and see what happens. Was that true for you, or was there a lot of pressure on you?
Obviously it's very hard to add anything smarter after Vitomir and to Lucas. But the swimming is not my sport. Swimming is my choice. So it's maybe easier for me to deal with the pressure and anything else. I did my 4 Paralympic cyclists. So 4 cyclists, 4 years, so almost 16 years of swimming. When I won my first Paralympic medal, and it was 3 days in a row, 2004 in Athens. After first medal, I grabbed my trainer and he grabbed me. We were very happy, but 10 minutes after, we went back to the Paralympic Village because he said, yes, you have first, but you have 2 more races. And you need to be in the room. The bus for tomorrow swimming is 7:30, and you need to be ready. After 3rd medal, he said, now we are finished.
Now you can relax.
Yeah, because when you get your job done on trainings, that's my point of view. Everything else is easier because you know you did everything. As Vitomir said before, your best performance doesn't have to be your gold medal. And your gold medal doesn't have to be your best performance, but you need always to have the best attitude, because when I was in professional sport, that meant that I had 3 trainings a day, so 15 trainings a week. It was very hard to be motivated on every day, on every level. It's mission impossible. Motivation is something which comes and goes.
Fluctuates,
comes and goes. But this training cyclists, I was speaking many times with my trainer after the training. How was it? We were analyzing technique and everything. But above all, we believed in success, And when you believe, you can do it. But if you don't believe, you don't be a part of it. If you don't believe, not just in sport, in life. If you don't believe in your family, don't have a family. If you don't believe in your car, don't buy it. So everything is sport. In life, that's my theory, and not just theory. I strongly believe that if you are doing everything you can, it will always. That's not mission impossible. There's nothing is mission impossible if you believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Nelson Mandela once said, it always seems impossible until it's done. And Luca, I want to throw it back your way just for a moment. He was talking about, won that first gold medal, there was a moment to celebrate, and then it was back to the drawing board for 2 more races. I mean, football is exactly that. You can win a quarterfinal, but there's still a semi-final. And you can win a semi-final, but there's still a final. How do you manage that for these athletes? If I translate that to Ironman, by the way, the other thing Iron Mike said is swimming is his choice. Your Ironman race is your choice. There was a sign at a race in Spain that I worked at that said, remember, you paid for this, right? So this is your choice. But Luca, if you look at a quarterfinal, semifinal, final, for these guys, I would translate it to finishing a swim, finishing a bike, finishing a race. So that initial success of the swim being over is not the end. You've got to focus. How do you train your mindset, and particularly when it comes to footballers, how do you keep them focused going, okay, so we won the quarterfinal, but we're playing England in the semi-final, and then we've got Brazil in the final. What's the process to keep that endurance mindset going and focused?
First, staying calm. That's the crucial thing, staying calm. Usually with us, first 2 hours after the game, we can be happy, we can celebrate just a little bit, but after 2 hours, usually it's just being calm and trying to focus on tomorrow, because otherwise it's not going to be good. So I think being calm and trying to focus them on something that's coming and not what happened is really, really important. We do it in the meetings. For example, after a big win, for example, 2 years ago, we beat Brazil in quarterfinals. 2 hours after the game, everybody was watching the next opponent because the game was going on, and that's great. The next day meeting, we are in the semifinals, but first thing the coach says is, guys, we didn't do anything yet. Now, we didn't do anything, because if we now lose, we really didn't do anything, so nothing is done. So trying to focus on what's coming, trying to stay here and now, which is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. The best things usually are simple, but not easy. But that's the only thing you should do and have to do.
Glad you brought that up. I want to bring it back to you, and I want to actually ask all of you the same question. My biggest problem when I did triathlon was I was never thinking about what I was doing. I was always thinking about the next thing. So when I was swimming, I was thinking about the bike, and when I was on the bike, I was thinking about the run, and when I was on the run, I was thinking about the finish line. I could imagine for an ultra-distance trail runner, if you lose focus of what you're doing at that moment, it could be dangerous. How do you keep yourself focused on the moment? And for those of you doing your very first Ironman, someone once said to me, the distance of an Ironman is from your swim start to the first buoy in the swim. No further than that. We'll think about the rest later. In trail running, is that the kind of approach that you use? How do you stay focused on where you are? Luca was talking about sticking with the plan, so was Michael. How do you stay focused on where you are and what you're doing in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, here the key point is to make a plan, and to make what are your strong points, what are your weak points, and stuff like this. So, for example, if you're a strong swimmer, strong biker, strong runner, and then stick to your plan. But for sure, the plan will not go as planned.
What do you do if it doesn't go as planned?
You have to have a plan that the plan will not go. But probably this comes with experience. Maybe it's easier if you're experienced, then you know what is coming, that there are many things that can happen. But like this, stay calm. This is maybe the key point also between the semifinals and the finals, because the positiveness or the negativeness will not help you at any point at the race. So yeah, it's hard to give you a smart advice, and another point that is also my guideline through my whole life is to enjoy the path, because if you don't enjoy the path, the finish line will be empty when you cross the finish line. So yeah, this is one really strong point, and then it's hard.
Well, I mean, the reason I talk about staying focused, because in trail running, I don't know if you've seen where these guys run. They run on mountains. Yeah. If you're not paying attention when you're running on a mountain, you could lose your grip, you could fall, you could injure yourself, you could ruin your whole race.
Yeah. It's a lot of concentration. Also, if I translate it to Ironman first, in the swimming, you don't want to drink too much water. Then you come out.
The Adriatic is very nice, but we don't want you to drink it. Please leave it where it is.
Then stay focused. There are lines where you have to walk, when you have to run, when you have to jump on the bike. Then on the bike there are holes in the asphalt and everything. So stay focused, kilometer by kilometer. Maybe, in 4 hours you will need a short break, but maybe also put this in the plan, because there are some sections on the road that are more flat. So maybe there you can relax. On the feed zones you need to relax and stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly. I had a really good friend who used to say, and he was a top age group triathlete, and he never ran through the aid stations. He walked the aid stations.
Yeah, maybe because everybody thinks that, okay, in the aid station, if I run fast, I will gain 3 seconds. But then you don't drink, then you have stomach like this, and then you lose 3 minutes. But this is the people mindset, and I think this comes with the experience. But if you listen to me, go to the aid station, drink, relax, and then go further, because at the finish line you will gain 5 minutes out of this. And also the professionals, they take time. Maybe they are faster, they look faster, but they take time there, because these are really important benchmarks.
One of the things I noticed at the UTMB event I was at the other day is how the top 3 guys all started slowly and finished fast. So they had this plan, they paced themselves, they knew what they work on a split. So the first half of the race, they want a negative split. They want to go faster in the second half than they went in the first half.
Yeah, it's like this. If you start too fast and you burn, you will finish like this. But if you start a little bit slower, then you can improve in the last part. Ideally, it will be like this, the line. But of course, it's a little bit safer.
The averages, right?
It's better to run really fast at the end than to walk at the end, because...
All right, so when you start your swim on Sunday, you don't need to swim 1 minute 30 per 100 meters, okay? Take it easy.
1 minute 50.
150, okay, all right, that's very kind of you. Iron Mike, when you look at a race, whether it's a 50 meter, 100 meter, 200 meter, do you have a similar kind of strategy of pacing it out?
I don't know. My advice for all the competitors in Sunday, just have fun, because overthinking, I think, is the biggest problem for all athletes on a biggest level. Overthinking. Don't think too much.
Paralysis by analysis, they call it.
Yeah, because if you I'm repeating myself, but for me that was really important. If you get job done, don't think on a competition. You are thinking in a training. When you are on a competition, you are prepared, and just take your car, enjoy the ride, nothing else. That's my only advice.
Enjoy the ride, smile. Yeah, I work at a race in Europe where they say if you smile, you go faster, apparently. Apparently it releases dopamine into the brain, which makes you feel like you're doing better than you actually are. When you talk about free diving, Vitamir, I can only imagine, particularly at that depth when you're starting to go down, and we've all seen the line that goes down, and you got that 1 marker, then 2 markers, and 3 markers. I would imagine that pacing yourself when it comes to free diving is vital. Not going too fast, not going too slow, having the right plan.
Yeah, freediving is a very specific sport in terms of technical and tactical part of it. I would say there are some things that can be applied to almost every sport, especially endurance sports or sports where there is some distance to cover and that are lasting more than 1 or 2 minutes, for example. This one is definitely more extensive than almost any other. I generally have two advices to the athletes that I coach on how to approach this big bite that they need to take on. So one starts with segmenting the time or segmenting the race into smaller portions. So maybe if it's a free dive, if you're aiming for 200 meters distance, you can segment it to 4 times 50 and then focus to make those 50s exactly as planned, with perfect technique, with everything. Because as long as we see the end of our struggle, it's much easier to mentally cope with it. We can ignore much more things. So in triathlon you can do as well. Someone already said, you segment it into 3 portions or buoy per buoy or something like that. And then I tell them, with time, with experience, try to make it into smaller and smaller and smaller sections so that your focus can be higher in those smaller sections. it's also really important to understand that one section is not defining the other section, or at least you have to think so. Because if you're going to spend the race judging the sections before and pre-analyzing the sections in front, you're definitely going to lose the race. So you do your best in the section that you decided to do, but then the next section is an empty page. And the next section you're going to do absolutely the best you can in that section, not burdened by what was before and not feared or traumatized by what lies ahead. There's a lot of kilometers ahead, but you will deal with that 1 kilometer at a time. And this mindset is really crucial to train, because it's very easy to say it, but then you come to a race and then everything collapses. So this comes with experience, but also with purposeful training, with mental training for this specific thing. As you grow experience with time, those segments, they just blend into 1 second. And then you're just present. This is a hard skill. There's ways to practice it. I call it defocusing or deconcentration of attention, or there's many names. And I believe this is exactly what's so addictive at elite sports. And this is the feeling of flow, the zone. And then you're in that moment doing the best you can without even thinking about it. And you will see that in every sport. And this is the high, the fix that we get. You see football players, they're running so many combinations in their head, you cannot consciously do that. So your subconscious needs to do that. But in order to make that happen, you need to be relaxed enough and you need to be trained enough to get there. And then you're truly present in that moment. In freediving, for example, I have a specific technique I use that I completely detach from my visual field, in a sense that I'm not looking at anything. I see everything, but I'm not looking at anything. I'm listening, I'm hearing everything around me, but I'm not listening to anything. And then in that space, slowly I come to the point where I'm literally present in every moment and performing my best. And these races I enjoy the most, and athletes who start applying this then realize this as some kind of meditation, dynamical meditation. And there's many names then: hypnosis, trance, peak performance, flow, the zone, mindfulness. You can call it whatever, but it's always the absence of something conscious and relaxing into something subconscious. And then it becomes a true pleasure, and you should practice this actually in every training in order to make it successful at a race. And I want to lean on something that Luca was speaking about before, like practicing for a match and then relaxing after. I've trained at least 10 athletes from the level where they were not a world record holder or a world champion to the level where they are. And I remember asking each and every one of them, when they win the medal, I asked them a couple of days after, so what changed? Like, you gave it a huge burden, this medal. What changed exactly? You have the same friends, you have the same income, you have the same family. I mean, nothing really changed. Maybe in football it's different. there's a lot more
Bank account
money
changed a little bit.
So basically nothing changes, and the race is just another day in your season. If you're training for a race, then if the race goes wrong, well, the whole season is kind of wrong, isn't it? But if you like what you're doing every day and you're there for training, you're there because you love the sport, then every day is a small victory. And you have 300 days of doing what you love and enjoying. Like, who cares if that one race goes left or right? Yeah. I mean, it's still an amazing season behind you. So also, like, think about that. Like, you did what you enjoyed the whole year, and now it's just a cherry on top.
I think this is the crucial thing that Vitomir is talking about, getting the small wins. Small wins in a day, small wins within the competition, but small wins start in the morning. And that's how you get in a zone also, probably. Everybody has their own protocols.
Yeah,
their
the
own
induction process.
Yeah. And that's the small wins that start when you wake up, probably. So getting small wins, not only in the competition, which is extremely important, but also at the beginning of the day. On Sunday morning, you get a small win, small win, small win. You have a better chance to get in a zone. Yeah. And Michal also touched on something important, that's motivation. Motivation is maybe a difficult word and big term. I'm not motivated every day to do everything that I have to do. Nobody is. but then you fall back to your habits, you fall back to discipline. And all of you are really disciplined, definitely. And then motivation, kicks in, maybe every day, okay, but maybe every other day, but you fall back to your discipline. And getting small wins is also falling back to your routine, falling back to your disciplines, falling back to your habits. And that's what you fall on, when something goes wrong also, you fall back to your habits.
Yeah, I was asking Luca the same thing. As Vitimir was saying, you segment, you break it down, because we've heard elite athletes talk about the zone, and most of us could never identify what that is. It's probably the clearest explanation. It's those segments broken down into smaller segments, where eventually it blends into one automated response that your body knows what it's doing. Is that something you've experienced as an ultra runner?
Yeah, for sure. The race go for 1 kilometer, I have to go there. But then on the finish line, if somebody asks me how many intermediate goals I
tell
have,
them.
I don't know. But every time, maybe sometime I count, okay, let's do another 50 steps. And then after 50 steps, I do another 100. The time flies. But if somebody asks me how many steps,
you couldn't tell them, because it becomes automated, because you've broken it down to one clear focus of the overall result. Iron Mike, is that something that you've experienced as well in your training?
Yeah, of course, because I had many races. It's not just 400 free. I raced 200 medley, 100 backstroke, 100 breaststroke. Every race is a zone, on 400 you need to keep the strength and endurance, first 100 meters and the last 100 meters, you calculate the waves,
you guys
which line
stroke.
you are. It's all also connected in which line you are. It's not you are in 4 or 8 line. It's a little bit different because of the waves and everything else. So yeah. The zone is very hard to describe. My zone and your zone is everything. Yeah, it's a little bit different. But when I was in zone many times and I didn't succeed, and I was in zone, I was feeling good, but that wasn't it. Yeah, it was 1 second. After the swimmer next to me. So the zone is not it's not a key for success. The key for success is just about this thing which Luca said before. Routine is everything. You need to have everyday success to be the best one day on a world champion. Or
I like that, because a lot of people think, if I believe I can, but you can believe in the world that you can win a UTMB trail run, but if I haven't done any preparation for it, it doesn't matter how much I believe it.
You can believe, but you need to train.
Yeah, so you can believe you're going to finish.
That's it.
Yeah, I like that.
You need to be a robot.
All right. I love that.
Believe in training.
Believe in your training. And also, what you were saying earlier is, if you take pleasure in those training days, you have 365 days of great training and winning on those days, and the racing becomes just part of that routine. It just forms around it. I love that. Guys, we're almost out of time, but before we end, I'm going to open it to the floor. If anybody wants to pick some of the wisest sporting brains I've ever shared a stage with, and trust me, I had no idea what the zone was until I sat here today. I didn't know what it took to get 21 crazy Croatian footballers to focus on the next match. I never knew how hard it was to do what you do, and the goals and the challenges that you've overcome to do. So what an opportunity to ask some questions. So if there's anyone, particularly those doing their first race, that wants to ask a question, now is your chance. And this is usually the point where the room goes quiet and everybody looks awkward. Yes? Who has a question?
And we start hoping that they paid someone to
don't look at me.
just raise your 2 hands.
So no questions. All right, I'm going to leave it. Sven has a question.
I'm not running. I'm not an Ironman, so I don't have to. Here you go. You can ask questions on Croatian or in English.
Thank you all. I wanted to ask Vitomir a little bit about the visualization before the race, before the dive. So what do you think about what are those 5 minutes that you go through, but the 5 minutes before the race? So what is going on through your head? How do you concentrate in that very moment?
Hopefully, my mind will be completely empty, and I will just allow my body to execute what is done so many times that it's by now a complete serotonin pathway in my brain. So this is ideally. Just before that, I could do a visualization, but the visualization is important to know that it's a very refined and complex skill. You don't just visualize yourself running through the end of the race and that's it, now you visualized. Like when I teach athletes visualization, it's a process. We first start with slow motion visualization or short visualizations, and then it becomes real-time visualization. Then we go to fast-forward visualizing. So it's not easy to put all of those sensory inputs that you feel in a race, like especially in an Ironman race. There's the feeling of the wind, the smell of the bike, the saltiness of the swim, the sweat feeling, the everything that you will see or that you will feel or that you will hear and taste during a race should blend into a visualization to give it that powerful visualizing output that everyone reads about. Like visualizing is like 80% doing it. It is when you're a master of visualization. So in order to have that really successful and working for you, you need to train visualization. For everyone, it's very clear that you're not going to squat 200 kilos if you watch a YouTube video on how to squat. Yeah, it's very evident. But many people underestimate the power of training for mental skills. So if you want to be good at visualizing, and if you want that to help your game on the day of the race, you need to have a warehouse of visualization tools and protocols, and you have to visualize this many, many times. And then it's going to work. And then it's a great tool, and it's one of the mental tools we use the most.
We're waiting for more questions. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, we have again.
Hello everyone, and question for everyone. If you can describe it or define it in one sentence, what is the hardest part in your sports? What's the thing that hurts you the most? Is it when you fail, when you train hard and fail? Is it something physically? Is it something mentally? If you can define shorter or longer.
Okay, it's me. I would say in the race day, for me, the hardest things are hours before the start, because then you need to really shut down all the world around you and only focus for the race, because you know you're ready, you have done everything, and now only you can beat you. So it's everything on you. So yeah, for me, these hours, minutes, and seconds before the starts are the hardest. Then I jump into the flow or anything, and then it goes like it goes. But I don't know. Normally, in my life, for sure the setbacks are hard to swallow. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing sport because I like to do it. It was my passion. It was my choice. And I cannot really say that sport is... I always say sport is not hard. I don't do hard stuff. Maybe they are difficult, but for sure they are not hard, because I don't like hard stuff.
That's why you're a trail runner. Yeah. I mean, Mike, hardest part of your sport?
I will say in one sentence. The repeating of process in training is the hardest thing. What was the hardest thing in my sport? So the repeating trainings which are very long. So we swim about 15 Ks every day. So it's very hard to stay motivated and to have a visualization, which Vitomir said. It's very hard. But yeah, he's a naturally trainer. He's not just competitor. He's really a trainer. He lives this life. I see him, and he's really the best thing in his sport is himself, because he's not just doing things for himself. He's doing things for the environment and for the other people. That's the most important thing of his sport. And I'm very honored to be and with him and with both Lucas and with you also. You have four or five Ironmans. Four. Yeah. So it's completing this process, and the repeating process was the hardest and the biggest issue in my sport, definitely.
Thank you, man. I'm gonna hire you as a PR agent.
Spin doctor.
Every sport is special, and I must say right now after this introduction that comparing professional swimming with freediving is uncomparable. Like the amount of work and calories wasted in swimming and the amount of these repetitions, they cannot really compare with professional freediving. It's maybe it's that type of sport, but I understand the hardship that he speaks about. For me personally, I'm maybe not the best guy to ask. Like I'm like a sports junkie. I usually after my best dives in world championships, I go straight to the gym because I miss gym, and I would just do sports all the time if I could keep the energy up. My sport is my vacation, my peace, my meditation, my everything. I just love sports. But I would say that besides the physical part, I hate injustice in politics. And sport also teaches you that the world is not always fair. And sometimes there's a lot of these things involved. I'm sure everyone here had their struggles and troubles. And for me, this is the hardest part, because I see the sport as somewhere where we come and the rules are clear and we are all equal. And this inspires me. And then when I see that these things can be bent, this for me creates the hardship of sport, like in everything in life, I guess.
I'm a coach. I'm not an athlete. I'm a coach. So it's
but there's a hard part to your job as well.
Yeah, but not as much as if you're an athlete. And in football, of course, football is much more chaotic sport than all of these sports. There's chaos in every sport, definitely, but it's much more chaotic, and there's less control and less influence that an individual has on the final outcome.
Right.
And then in these situations, I know that it's not easy for them. For example, you lose on penalty kicks. It's like 25 grown men sitting still and quiet in a locker room for 2 hours. Yeah. You know, it's not easy. You know, I think those are the situations when you don't have control, you have even less influence, because as you know, the circle of control is just me. And then besides that, I have influence in some, maybe a little bit bigger circle, but it's not a huge circle. Outside of that circle, I don't have even influence. So if I think about that, I'm not going to be good. So all I have to do is think about the circle of control, and that's just me.
I like that.
Which is, again, simple but not easy.
Yeah, and again, it's bringing it into the focusing on what you can control right now, which has kind of been a theme. And I really hope you guys have picked up on that. When you go and you start race day, focus on the things that you have control over. Focus on getting to transition early on Sunday morning. Get your wetsuit on early. Be on time to get there. Don't rush. Control the things you can control. And don't be like me and think about the next thing always. Think about the thing that you're doing. In fact, with what Vitomir said, is think about the thing that you're doing and then half of the thing that you're doing and then a quarter of that, so that you're focused on that minute detail of where you are. Guys, we're going to wrap it up. I want you to give all of our beautiful athletes one sentence for them to take with them on race day. One sentence.
You're ready, you have trained, unleash your kid inside and have fun.
I like that. Yes, come on, that was good. Michael.
It can be done. That's it.
Gold. Vitomir.
You will never be younger than you are today.
I like that. That's a life motto. That's right there. Put it on your fridge. Coach Luka.
Clear mind, small wins.
Clear minds, small wins. Ladies and gentlemen, Luka Milanovic, Vitomir Maricic, Michael Spania, and Luka Kovacic. Let's give these guys a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you to you on YouTube for joining us. Thank you to our Ironman race director, Goran, to Sven and the whole team here in beautiful Plava Laguna Porridge. We will see you tomorrow for Iron Kids. Make sure you come and join us for Iron Kids. Then we will see you again at Bike Check-In. Please make sure you bring your bike, your blue and red bag, and we'll see you on race day morning. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.